can maintain an accurate transcript. We ask that you please speak one at a time and do not speak over each other. After the hearing, our stenographer will produce the official hearing transcript, which will be available on the Office of Tax Appeals' website. The hearing transcript and video recording of the hearing are part of the public record. To speak, you know how to mute and unmute your microphone, and we ask that you please remute it when you are finished speaking to avoid feedback and background noise. Finally, we ask that you please remember these proceedings are being broadcast on OTA's YouTube channel, and any information shared during this hearing will be heard and or viewed by the public. With that, are there any questions from anyone before we go on the record? Ms. Campbell? Okay. All right, judges, are you ready to go on the record?
Yes.
All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and start the record. We are opening the record in the appeal of L. Campbell, OTA case 2209-11515. This matter is being held before the Office of Tax Appeals. Today's date is Tuesday, June 13th, 2023, and the time is approximately 9:38 a.m. My name is Veronica Long, and I am the lead administrative law judge for this appeal. With me today are Administrative Law Judges Sarah Hosey and Josh Aldrich. As a reminder, the Office of Tax Appeals is not a court. It is an independent appeals body. The office is staffed by tax experts and is independent from the state's tax agencies. With that, I will ask the parties to please introduce themselves for the record, starting with appellant.
Campbell.
Camille Dixon, Tax Counsel with the Franchise Tax Board.
Cynthia Kent, Tax Counsel with the Franchise Tax Board.
All right, thank you. Judge Long speaking. As confirmed at the pre-hearing conference and in my minutes and orders following that conference, the issue to be decided in this appeal is whether appellant has demonstrated error in FTB's assessment for the 2018 tax year. With that, I'd like to move on to the evidence in this appeal. FTB submitted Exhibits A through K. A through H were submitted by FTB prior to the pre-hearing conference, and appellant indicated she did not have any objection to those exhibits. Exhibits I through K were submitted subsequent to our pre-hearing conference. Appellant, do you have any objection to the admission of these exhibits?
The only thing I have to report is that I grabbed the wrong folder, so I don't have all the evidence in front of me. But I'm because I was going over and I'm confident that...
Ms. Campbell, can I ask you to turn your microphone on, please? Thank you.
I unfortunately brought the wrong folder, and so I left all my copies, but I know that all that evidence that you have, so I'm confident that I can deal with this.
All right, so I'd like to confirm you don't have copies of the exhibits that were submitted by FTB in front of you.
I don't have I grabbed the wrong folder and I had all that information, and I also, but I don't have but I do feel that you would have them, the ones, because I found out there was a big error in information, so I'm hoping that you guys will have it, because
all right.
You have all the information.
Ms. Campbell, we can print out copies of the exhibits that have been submitted in this case for you. So if you want to give our office staff about 10 minutes, we should be able to get that for you. Would that be helpful?
Well, there's only 2 documents that I really need, and I have almost memorized them, and that would be, because one of them I did not have, and that would be the copy of my state income tax that I actually filled out and turned in and got the, and that, because it was 4 years later, I didn't have that information when I talked to the first person, and I realized when I found the error, the biggest errors was all my things, and the biggest error is the AGI, because so I would need and I submitted this, the transcript of there's only 2 pieces of evidence I will need for the judges to look at, and I believe that will clear everything up.
All right, Ms. Campbell, we're going to get you copies of the exhibits that have been submitted in this case. I will continue going through our evidence admissions while we're waiting for that to come in. Did you have any objection to the exhibits that FTB submitted?
No, I don't have
No,
any
all right.
objections. I have, in fact, when I was mailed something, and in fact I did some correspondence, I realized it's all about the AGI, which it took 2 years for me to fix it with the IRS. Didn't know it, and then I didn't have a copy of I could not find a copy of my original file.
All right, Ms. Campbell, we'll get to the substantive arguments. First, we're just going to take care of the administrative matters, but thank you.
Thank you.
So FTB Exhibits A through K are now admitted and entered into the record. Ms. Campbell, I understand you have not submitted any exhibits in this case, but of course you are free to refer to FTB's exhibits, and we're going to get hard copies of those for you. So I'm going to quickly go over the order of the proceedings today. In my minutes and orders, I indicated appellant would have 15 minutes for her presentation and witness testimony, after which FTB will be permitted to ask questions they may have of the witness regarding factual testimony. Following any questions by FTB, I will turn to my panel to see if they have any questions for Ms. Campbell. Following that, FTB will have 15 minutes for their presentation, after which I will again turn it over to the panel for any questions. Finally, Ms. Campbell will have an additional 5 minutes for her closing or rebuttal, which will be followed by any questions the panel may have for either party. As a reminder, FTB will not interrupt appellant during her case presentation, and similarly, appellant will not interrupt FTB during FTB's case presentation. After FTB's case presentation, appellant will have the opportunity to respond during her rebuttal. With that, I am going to follow up shortly to get you those exhibits. All right, we're going to go ahead and give it about 5 minutes for our office staff to give you that. So it'll be just a minute. Miss. All right, Ms. Campbell, could you please speak into the microphone?
I do not have the the only exhibit I have is the one that additional evidence. And that's the only thing I have here. And I don't have all the other evidence that but you have it, but I do not have it. It's in my file.
All right. I believe you've just received copies of FTB's exhibits I, J, and K.
Yes.
And there's another exhibit that you would like, or is that?
No, because I don't have the transcript from my corrected form that you have. I do not have, that will show the correct, because I had to do this huge thing to get the correct adjusted gross income.
All right, so to confirm, Ms. Campbell, are you talking about your 2018 federal account transcript, your IRS transcript?
Yes.
All right, so I believe that is FTB's Exhibit F?
Yes.
All right.
I said I don't have any of my information. That's why I said I don't have any of the information.
All
but
right.
I feel confident enough that if I guide you to that information, because basically all I need is this and the transcript from the IRS to show, because I had the corrected, when I filed my state, I did have the correct AGI. And I did an error then, but the correct AGI is 55, the one I had indicated. It would indicate it on the federal tax form. And what I did, and when I talked to the guy, I found out that I had, but he added it to my thing because the feds and states do not talk to you, so he did not have the corrected information.
All
That's
right, we're going to get you all of the exhibits. We're going to get you exhibits A through H so that you have everything in front of you. We also do have electronically, we have all the exhibits in front of us, but we want you to have everything you need for your presentation, so we'll just get you hard copies.
Judge Long, I do have a copy of all of them. If you'd like me to just give them to her, I'd be happy to.
That would be fine with me. Go ahead.
Okay, I have here A through H. It sounds like she was already given
Yeah, I have.
I, J, and K.
IJ.
And that cleared everything up for me.
All
Because-
right. All right, thank you,
Thank you.
FTB.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
In that case, Ms. Campbell, do you need a moment to prepare for your presentation, or are you ready to go ahead? All right, Ms. Campbell, you may begin. You have 15 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm trying to, start with the initial problem. In 2018, I forgot to include a form with because they had changed it all, and it took me like 2 years to get my personal medical deduction off and get it all cleared up and everything. And if you will see, if you go on the exhibit with the transcript, where'd it go? Where's the installment agreement, da-da-da-da.
Ms. Campbell, I apologize. I do have to interrupt you for one moment. It sounds like you're going to be offering factual testimony. Would you like me to swear you in so that we can
Oh, I'm
consider
sorry,
that
I
as...
thought we were doing that.
Let me just go ahead and swear you in.
Okay.
Ms. Campbell, if you're ready, I'm going to ask you to please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. Please go ahead.
Okay, this is when they just added to my account because I had a payment plan. Where did it show? For some reason, it's not showing the change. Amended tax return, credit. Okay, my adjusted gross income is 50,000. I'm sorry, my glasses. On this thing, it was changed from $60,000 to $50,070. It's on page 2 of 4.
I'm just going to move the microphone a little closer.
Okay. Does everybody see that on the that my adjusted gross income is $50,070? So when I originally did my taxes, because I was using, the form, if you go to my state income tax return, which didn't really come out good here. Does everybody notice the $55,000? I just want to make sure everybody sees that. Oh, here's the revised tax code. $50,573 is my adjusted gross income. So when I filed my income tax at the beginning, because I didn't know I was going to be going through all this, I actually used that figure as my federal adjusted gross income. It was $50,573. What I did that was wrong is I doubled. That's when I actually I did 50,000, and for some reason I doubled up my deduction and took it again. So that's where my error was, is that I actually, as you can see, I put that 13,560. I don't know why I did, and that was my error. And when I was talking to the guy, I thought, I didn't have my income tax for me, so I've been going back and forth. And when I got, that's what I'm saying, when I got that, I realized that I actually took 13,560 again. That is my error. But my adjusted gross income is $50,573. So I believe, because I got it I believe I do owe money, but I do not believe I owe, because the adjusted gross income they added to the 50,000 rather than did that. So I understand now that I finally got this, because it was 4 years later when I got this notification, and I could never find my income tax, but I found the transcript that showed the AGI. And I had talked to the person that I gave all this information to, but I had the understanding, couldn't see it, so I did not know, because what they did is actually go back to what they had and added it to where it was, 60,000 or something like that. So I just am asking that we use the correct AGI and take it, and recalculate it. Just leave out that 13, get rid of that, and recalculate the 50, and just base it on that with the deductions and everything. Because I do understand I'll probably owe the money, the refund check. I probably owe that money, because maybe I don't get a refund. It does that. So it needs to be readjusted to the AGI, the correct AGI from the federal government. And that is, but again, I was just going blind. I was and I knew what that amount represented. So, but there was a big miscommunication. It's been one big miscommunication after another. But getting this form cleared it all up, and I did send some information saying that was where my error. When I saw that, I went, I wish I just 4 years is a long time for me to go look for stuff, and it just, so I did that, and like I said, I just found it out when I got the information. So I do recognize that I probably owe money. I understand that, but I do not believe I want it to be adjusted to the correct AGI. That's all, not the other one.
All right, thank you, Ms. Campbell. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yeah, unless they have any other questions. I don't see, to me, it's pretty obvious what happened, and I admit to my error. Okay.
All right, Franchise Tax Board, do you have any questions for Ms. Campbell regarding her factual testimony?
Franchise Tax Board has no questions, Judge Long.
All right, thank you. Judge Hosey, do you have any questions for Ms. Campbell?
No questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Judge Aldrich, do you have any questions for Ms. Campbell?
No questions, thank you.
All right, and I do not have any questions for you at this time. FTB, we are now ready for your presentation. You have 15 minutes and may begin whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Judge Long. Good morning. My name is Camille Dixon, and I am tax counsel representing the Franchise Tax Board. Along with me is my co-counsel, Cynthia Kent, also with the Franchise Tax Board. The issue on appeal is whether the appellant has established error in FTB's proposed assessment for the 2018 tax year. Specifically, it is whether appellant has established that she is entitled to the California adjustment to her federal AGI that she claimed on her return. And moreover, whether the FTB's calculation of proposed additional tax are correct. The evidence shows that appellant has failed to establish error with FTB's proposed assessment as revised on appeal for the 2018 tax year. Appellant filed her return, and following its processing, a $350 refund was issued to her. Subsequently, FTB received federal information indicating that the appellant's federal AGI reported on her state return did not match the federal AGI that was reported on her federal return. Additionally, it was noted that the appellant claimed an unsupported California adjustment in the amount of $13,560 on her state return, on her federal AGI line. Therefore, FTB issued a notice of proposed assessment, which revised appellant's federal AGI on her California return to match the federal AGI as reported on her federal return, and also disallowed the unsubstantiated subtraction appellant reported as a California adjustment. During protest, appellant provided information indicating that she had been successful in a dispute with the IRS as to her correct federal AGI, and that it had reduced her federal AGI to the AGI as reported on her state return. Therefore, FTB issued a notice of action reversing the adjustment related to her federal AGI, but the adjustment related to the improper California adjustment remained. During the appeal, FTB noted that the final federal AGI, as accepted by the IRS, is slightly lower than the federal AGI as reported by the appellant on her state return. Therefore, on appeal, FTB again revised and reduced the proposed deficiency assessment based on the final federal AGI. FTB prepared a pro forma return labeled Exhibit J that sets forth the final calculations and supports the proposed revised additional tax of $819. Appellant has not provided any substantiation for the subtraction of income from her federal AGI as reported on her state return. Under the Revenue and Taxation Code, wage and pension income are included in a taxpayer's adjusted gross income. Appellant's only income is wage and 1099 pension income. Because appellant erroneously subtracted taxable income from her federal AGI, FTB properly added it back to her AGI. Initially, appellant's contention was that FTB failed to account for the final federal AGI as reported by her federal return following her successful dispute with the IRS, and that the FTB failed to apply her $350 overpayment to the proposed deficiency. However, as previously discussed, FTB has revised the federal AGI to reflect the final reported federal AGI following her successful action with the IRS, and the overpayment was previously refunded to appellant. Therefore, it may not be applied to the revised tax computation. Appellant now appears to concede that FTB has used the correct federal AGI in its computation and that she erroneously made a California adjustment to that corrected federal AGI, but she continues to dispute the calculation of the tax. A review of the pro forma return prepared making all of the corrected adjustments supports FTB's calculations and properly results in additional tax due of $819. As the Office of Tax Appeals explained in its precedential decision, Appeal of Head and Feliciano, FTB's determination of tax is correct, and the taxpayer bears the burden of proving error. Here, appellant has not demonstrated error in FTB's proposed notice of proposed assessment as revised on appeal. Here, therefore, FTB respectfully requests that the Office of Tax Appeals sustain FTB's proposed assessment for tax year 2018. Thank you, and I am happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, FTB, for your presentation. Judge Hosey, do you have any questions for FTB?
No questions. Thank you for your presentation.
All right, Judge Aldridge, do you have any questions for FTB?
Likewise, I have no questions for FTB. Thank you.
All right, I also do not have any questions for FTB. With that, Ms. Campbell, you are welcome to begin your rebuttal and closing remarks. You have 5 minutes.
Yes, I've never received any information from, the only information when I was working with the FTB is nobody ever told me they had revised it. They had everything is, they added the 1355 because I did have all that information. I got these notices, and they kept saying it was 60. It's like 60,000, like my first one without that 13. So I never was advised of anybody from the FTB that they had readjusted it or anything. In fact, I would ask questions, and I got shifted up like to 2 different people. It was just very confusing, and they always used the 55 plus 30, whatever that was, at the original, because I had to redo all this, but nobody ever informed me, the federal tax board never informed me that they had readjusted my tax throughout this whole process. This is the first time I've talked to the person that wrote up the report. I was trying to get, information, and she took the information. And again, I never had, and I told them I didn't have a copy of my income tax, that I filed. So I have never, ever been informed that that they had corrected my I never got that information. I don't know why, but I just kept getting, so now the person who wrote this all up, I gave her all this information, and when I got it back, it was so wrong. There were so many errors. And then she wouldn't even call me back, and then you do. So all I'm seeing when I get this is it's based on the original. They never, ever, I have never heard one thing about anybody that they actually readjusted I had never gotten that information. So I don't know when this happened. I never received it. That they had readjusted, and like I said, until I received a copy of my tax form that I had told from the get-go that I did not have in front of me, and that they kept using this $60,000 thing, so I kept assuming that that's what they're doing. And then when I saw my error, which I didn't get until I called and explained, and I don't know where that they had revised it. I never got the information from that, so I don't know when, because I never saw the adjustment change from the original. So I don't understand where, because, and I have all this information that I want, but I just want my income to be the $50,000, and I want it to be shown that I get the standard whatever the California deduction and get rid of the $13,000. But in terms of revising that information, I never received from the FTB.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Campbell. I'm going to circle back to my co-panelists to see if they have any questions for either party.
Hi, yes, this is Judge Aldrich. I have a question for you, Ms. Campbell. So one of the documents that you received was Exhibit J from FTB. Could you take a second and find that for me? It was amongst the first three printouts that you received today.
What page was it?
So it was Exhibit J. It's one of the ones that are stapled together.
I see it now. Sorry.
So the first page of Exhibit J should look like 2018 California resident income tax return 540.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
This is not a bill. A computation of proposed amount.
No, it looks very much like a 540 or income tax return. She's showing you what it...
Oh.
Counsel for FTB is showing the first page of Exhibit J. If you look to your left, that might help.
Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, right here.
Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, this is the one information I received that I did not have account. I did not have in my possession.
Okay. And if you could go to the second page.
Excuse me, Judge, our exhibits are labeled on the very bottom. It will say J, page 1.
It's actually, Judge Aldrich, this is Camille for the Franchise Tax Board. It's actually to her right under the page that says exhibits. She's got the wrong copy of the return.
Thank you
Okay,
very
I
much.
got Exhibit J here,
Great.
and there's no really any information on it.
So if you could turn to the second page.
Yes.
Do you see the figures there? The amounts on the
Yeah, I
right-hand
see those, but again, I don't. This is this information was in, I believe, was in the original appellate, but I just I did not receive that they had changed this information, and I did not. When I looked at the state income tax form, I really could not even hardly. The one that I got from them had it much more clearer. I could understand it, but I did not really notice this,
Okay.
that they had done this. Like I said, I did not know that they had redid my tax report. I did not understand that they had done that.
All right. So my question is, do you see any errors in the amounts on that second page of Exhibit J?
It says 702. I don't know. These are my total payments. Oh, I see what it says. So now I owe $819.
So FTB, is that the correct amount?
Yes, Judge Aldrich.
And could you give a brief explanation of what a pro forma is?
Yes, a pro forma is when the Franchise Tax Board prepares a return on behalf of the taxpayer. It's usually when we've made adjustments, and it's designed to set forth the calculations as revised in a situation like here. We're on appeal. We've made an additional adjustment, and we just want to be sure that the taxpayer understands what the adjustments look like on a return. We call
Thank
it a pro
you.
forma.
And I didn't get any of that information until December. I don't know. I never knew that they had done that work. I just did not know. Until I got this, where I could see it all and everything, I did not know they had nobody ever gave me that information. I felt like I was going back and forth, and if I had known that that they had done one for me, or somebody had told me that, this would not be here. I never saw I didn't have it. I told the person, the very first person, we had an interview, I went through it, and I kept getting these, and it wasn't that I found out there was the wrong age. I didn't, like I said, I did make an error. I was never informed that the FTB had corrected it. So
sorry to interrupt, but just to be clear, the pro forma and Exhibit J, you didn't see any errors on your review?
No. I'm just telling you where I was coming from.
I understand, and I appreciate that. So that concludes my questions for you. I'm going to refer it back to Judge Long. Thank you.
Judge Hosey, do you have any questions for either party?
No questions. Thank you.
All right. I also do not have any questions for either party at this time. With that, I think we are ready to conclude the hearing. I want to thank the parties for their presentations today. The panel of administrative law judges will meet and decide the case based upon the arguments, testimony, and evidence in the record. We will issue our written decision no later than 100 days from today. The case is submitted and the record is now closed. This concludes our morning calendar. OTA will reconvene this afternoon for the afternoon calendar at 1 o'clock. Thank you, everyone.